In today's video, I'll be doing a tutorial on lists. By the end of this tutorial, you'll be able to understand what a list is and what are the different kind of blocks that can be used to program lists. Let's start by knowing what a list is. A list is a tool that can be used to store multiple values or pieces of information at once. We can also call it as a variable containing multiple other variables. A list contains an item, many items actually. An item is a piece of information that can be added to or deleted from a list manually or by programming. To create a list, go to Variables and click on Make a List. Now we will be asked to name our list. I'm going to name it Sports. Click on OK. Let's start with the first block, Add Thing to Sports. Before that, to hide a list, click on this checkbox. If it's already ticked, that means your list is shown. Else, it's hidden. Okay, now let's start with the first block. The first block is Add Thing to Sports. This adds an item to a list. Your item can be literally anything. It can be a number or it can be a string, which is basically a word. So I'm going to add basketball to sports. Perfect. Now let me snap it to a when flag clicked. So when the flag is clicked, you'll see basketball will be added to the list. Now when you go on full screen right next to the item, the name of the item, you'll see a number. That number is the index. If I want to add another item, then the index of that item would be 2 if I add it right after basketball. And so on. There can be 3, 4, 5, etc. And that brings us to our next one. Delete one of sports. Now this you'll already understand. It deletes an item from a list. But now what is this one? So remember I told you about indexes. So first you want to add the index of the item you want to delete. I want to delete basketball. So the index of basketball is 1. So I put delete one of sports. This will delete basketball out of the list. Let's look at our next one. Delete all of sports. By its name, it will delete everything inside an item. I'll put this at the start so that it will refresh the list every time the flag is clicked. So when flag clicked, you'll see nothing because at the end of the list we put delete one of sports, which will delete basketball. But if you remove it, you'll see basketball in the list. Let's look at our next block. Insert thing at one of sports. What this does, it inserts an item at a chosen point in a list. I want to insert football at the index of 1. So in the first blank, I'll enter the name of that value, basically the item. And then at the second blank, we have to put the index. So I want to put football at the index of 1. So I'll put insert football at 1 of sports. I'll remove this delete one of sports. And then you'll see football and basketball. Now football comes first because we inserted football at 1 of sports, and then basketball, the index will become 2. Let's look at the next block. Replace item 1 of sports with thing. What this will do, it will replace an item in a list with a new item. Now I want to replace the football item with badminton. Now let me look at the index of football, which is 1. So I'll enter the index in the first blank. Then in the last blank, I'll type the name of that value or the item. So I said badminton. And there you go. Now you'll see badminton and basketball. Let's look at the next item, or the next block, sorry. It is item 1 of sports. What this will do, it's a reporter block that reports what text an item in a list contains. Now suppose you want a character to say item 1 of sports. So I want my characters to say badminton. So first I'm going to drag a say hello for 2 seconds and I'll replace hello with item 1 of sports. I'll connect it and as you can see, the cat will say badminton. So first, in the first blank, you'll type the index of that particular item. If I want the cat to say basketball, I'll change the index to 2. And that is how this block works. Okay, let's look at our next block, which is item hashtag of things in a list. So it reports the index in a list where an item first appears. Now suppose I want to know the index of badminton. So I'll type item hashtag of badminton on sports in sports. And I want the cat to say it. So say hello for 2 seconds, item of badminton in sports. So the cat will say 1 because the index of badminton is 1. You can do the same thing in Python as well. Moving on, let's look at the next block, length of sports. What this does, it reports how many items a list contains. Once again, I want the cat to say the length of sports. The answer should be 2 because there are 2 items in our list. Moving on, the next block is sports contains things. Now this is a Boolean block that checks if a list contains a given string. A Boolean block is a block that has a true or false value. Now I want to check whether the list contains badminton. So I'm going to drag a say hello for 2 seconds. And I want the cat to say whether the sports list contains badminton. As you can see, the cat says true because the list does contain badminton. Now let me type another sport such as football. Now the answer should be false because this list does not contain football. As you can see, false. Okay, next. Show list and hide list. So this is pretty evident if show list will show the list and hide list will hide the list. So I want to show the list and there you go. And now I want to hide the list. As you can see, the list is hidden as soon as the cat says the true or false. Okay, so that's it with today's tutorial. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video and understood everything I have said. If not, please comment down below and I'll try my best to clarify your doubts. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel, leave us a like and share our videos to others. Until then, scratch on.